Today, we are diving deep, and I mean literally, into one of the greatest legends of the ancient world, the lost city of Dwarka. For thousands of years, people thought it was just a myth, the legendary capital of Lord Krishna. But what if the story was actually real?
So our story doesn't start in some dusty old text. Nope, it starts in 1983. A team of underwater archaeologists were on a mission off the coast of Gujarat in India. They were just hoping to find a few clues, but I promise you, they had no idea what they were about to stumble upon.
Because deep beneath the waves, they found something that would absolutely shock the world. It forced historians and scientists to ask a pretty wild question. Could the epic tales of the Mahabharata actually be based on historical fact?
So what did they see down there in the dark? Well, it wasn't just a few scattered ruins. Oh no, it was something so much bigger, so much more incredible. What these divers uncovered was just breathtaking. We're talking about the remains of a huge, totally planned out city. They could see these massive walls, roads laid out in a grid, the foundations of what looked like palaces, and even a complex irrigation system. This was no small village. It was a full-blown urban center, just lost to the sea. So of course, the team brought stone samples back to the surface to get them tested. And this, right here, is where the story gets really juicy. The dating put these ruins squarely in the time period of the Mahabharata. I mean, think about that. A lost city in the exact right place from the exact right time. It could only be one thing: the legendary city of Dwarka.
To really get how huge this discovery is, we have to rewind and go back to the ancient texts. Why was this incredible city supposedly built in the first place?
Okay, so according to the scriptures, Lord Krishna's capital city, Mathura, was constantly under attack. This one king, Jarasandh, was furious and assaulted the city, get this, 17 times. Can you imagine? So to keep his people, the Yadava dynasty, safe, Krishna realized they needed to move. They needed a new, untouchable, fortified city.
But you can't just build a city on the coast, right? You need a little help. The legend says Krishna prayed to the sea god, who was so impressed that he granted him a huge piece of land, literally pulling the ocean back to make room for the new capital. Talk about divine intervention. Now the text is super specific about the size of this land, 12 yojanas. A yojana is an ancient way of measuring distance, maybe somewhere between 5 and 9 miles. It might seem like a tiny detail right now, but I want you to file that number away. Trust me, it becomes incredibly important later on. So this city was basically a paradise, a golden metropolis. But, like in all great epics, there's always a tragic twist. Dwarka, for all its glory, was doomed from the start. And its fate was sealed by not one, but two powerful curses. First, after the huge Mahabharata war, a grieving mother named Gandhari cursed Krishna. She prophesied that his own dynasty would completely destroy itself in 36 years. Then there was this other, even stranger curse. Krishna's son Sam played a dumb prank on some visiting sages, and they cursed him to give birth to an iron pestle that would be the cause of everyone's doom. And the story of that pestle, it's a wild ride. So to everyone's horror, Sam actually produces a real iron pestle. The king is terrified, so he has it ground into dust and scattered in the sea. But you can't escape fate that easily. A fish swallows the last largest piece of metal. Then, that fish gets caught, and a hunter named Jara finds the shard and makes it into a poison-tipped arrow. You just can't make this stuff up.
For centuries, that was it. A fantastic story. A grand city built by gods, destroyed by curses, and then swallowed by the sea. Just a myth, right? Well, in the 20th century, a new kind of hunt began. This time with archaeologists, not warriors.
So the official search actually kicked off in the 1930s. By 1963, they were already finding ancient artifacts on the island of Dwarka. But the real game changer was between 1983 and 1990 with Dr. S.R. Rao's underwater mission. That's the one that found the city. And the search is still going on today, with the Archaeological Survey of India picking it back up in 2007. Which, of course, brings us to the million-dollar question. I mean, okay, you found an ancient city in the right spot. Awesome. But how on earth could you prove that these were the ruins of Krishna's Dwarka, a city from a 5,000-year-old epic poem?
This is where things get really mind-bending. The team had to find cold, hard, scientific proof that lined up with the very specific claims made in the ancient texts. This is it. The moment myth collides head-on with archaeology.
Their number one tool for this was carbon dating. All that really means is it's a scientific way to figure out how old something is. By measuring the decay of carbon-14 in stuff they found in the ruins, they could get a really reliable date for when people lived in that city.
And what they found is just, wow. See, scholars had already figured out, based on astronomical events described in the Mahabharata, that the Great War probably took place around 3126 BCE. So when the archaeologists carbon dated the artifacts from the sunken city, they got a date range of 3000 to 1500 BCE. The timelines, they match. It's an almost perfect overlap.
But here it is. This might be the most powerful piece of evidence of all. Remember that number I told you to remember? 12 yojanas? Well, the archaeologists surveyed the entire underwater city, and unbelievably, its total size was a near-perfect match for the 12 yojanas of land that the sea god supposedly gifted to Krishna. The physical evidence was mirroring the ancient text. That's just hard to ignore.
So, the evidence is pretty compelling, right? The location lines up, the time period lines up, even the size of the city lines up. But there is one final, huge mystery left to solve. How did this incredible city end up at the bottom of the ocean?
On this question, the legend and the science tell two very different stories. The Mahabharata describes this crazy, sudden event. It says the sea literally rose up and swallowed the city in a moment's time. But the scientific theory points to something more gradual, the slow, steady rise in sea levels after the last ice age, which we know submerged coastal cities all over the world.
And so, the story of Dwarka leaves us with this huge, profound question. It really forces us to think about that line we draw between what's a myth and what's history. Was its end some sudden divine disaster, or a slow natural process? Or maybe the truth is a memory of the slow process, told as an epic story of a sudden one. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many of our other great legends aren't just stories, but are actually lost histories, just patiently waiting for us to find them?